takes us to item number 13, which are action as necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session. The first item that we need to take a motion on would be our selected employment items, Exhibit A. Do I have a motion? Ms. Hutchison.
I move that we approve the selected employment items as shown in Exhibit A.
Have a second, Mr. Cates. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. The second item is our superintendent's evaluation and contractual matters. I would entertain a motion at this time. Ms. Baumgartner.
I move. Mr. Chairman, after reviewing Dr. Hefner's report on the district's progress and hearing the board's comments this evening regarding Dr. Hefner's performance, I move that we conclude as a board that Dr. Hefner received a superior evaluation for the 2016-2017 school year.
We have a second. Mr. Cates, second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Hammond.
Dr. Hefner, you certainly have had an exceptional review by the board, and I just want to thank you with this one comment that you did, as we discussed many different things from the 10 goals that the public can read, that you recognize that there really are areas too that we can continue to work on and need improvement. Thank you.
Any other discussion of that? I will just say in summary, we talked about many items, Ms. Hammond so ably put. There are 10 goals in Dr. Hefner's evaluation. We discussed almost all of them tonight. And Dr. Hefner gave an honest assessment of where he is and where his staff is on all those goals. And it's very evident that your staff works very hard. And Dr. Hefner, we evaluate you, but we would really evaluate your staff, the schools, and I know everybody's working very hard toward these goals. And I would just touch briefly on a few of the items that we talked about, and probably one of the number one items were some of the areas where you had not achieved fully where you wanted to be on the goal, how to sustain and raise possibly some testing scores in some of our schools, and I know that's a work in progress, and the landscape changes daily sometimes, but we're with you to try to help in any way to address that, and you got some great ideas, I think, from our board tonight. One of the things that came up was the visions that you've given over the years. First, when you first came with us back in 2011, you shared with us your vision 2015, which was completed pretty much last year, and then last year you shared with us your vision 2020, which I find to be extremely helpful for a district to have a goal out in the future that you're working toward. And one of the things that we talked about tonight is the fact that one of those goals was the addition at Chapin Middle School, which is underway. That's going very well. The identifying a site for an elementary school in the Chapin area, and you've identified a site, and we have, as a board, purchased that site. The planning for the future has been a great move on your part, and we appreciate that. We talked about safety and security in our schools and the changes that have come about in the staff. There's been some great things that go on, again, supported fully by your staff, identifying needs. We talked tonight, too, about the hand-in-hand working with the physical and the physical responsibilities that we have of using all our physical assets, whether it be building or our teachers and our physical plant to the maximum ability. We know that you're doing a great job with that, and our staffing levels reflect that. We're trying our best to address the needs that we have. Several overriding things came out, but you have been recognized for so long to have a real keen awareness of people and jobs and fitting and meshing those folks together. And this whole board recognizes what a great job you've done of bringing those forces together, and the results show in our schools and our staffing levels. And then the overriding item that I heard from almost board members is your integrity and your honesty is unquestioned, unparalleled, and you set a very high bar. And you've led this district unwavering for the past 7 years or so, and we're just looking forward to this year as we move forward again. But your integrity and your leadership is beyond, it's a great goal for others to shoot for. We appreciate that. And on behalf of the board, we thank you for your leadership each and every year and each and every day. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that, in summary, is any other comment that anyone might want to have? Dr. Hefner, we are very proud of you. We've had a motion tonight. We've had a second. We've had Mr. White has a comment. Mr. White.
Yeah, I think, one of the challenges we have when we're all successful is we're always trying to make every kid successful. And so I think that's the point we talked about back there is, that's a challenge we'll all have as we move forward as a district. And I think the one thing that I'm personally disappointed in, and I'm assuming everybody else is, that you resigned and you're leaving us. But we'd like to have you for, a much longer time because we think you've done a very good job, extraordinary job, and deserve a superior rating.
Any other comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion that has been seconded, which pretty much declares that we're extremely pleased with your work, and we've awarded you a superior, or will, if this motion passes, a superior rating for your efforts. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask the people that are left here to join me in an applause for your work.
And may I just say, it is such a privilege to be your superintendent. I had never dreamed how much I would enjoy working in this district, how much I enjoy it. And as I told someone, if I'd known I was going to enjoy it this much, I would have worked harder to get here much faster. So, thank you very much.
And not to disappoint, Dr. Hefner has announced his intent. I don't know if we're going to accept that motion or not, but his intent to retire at the end of this year. So we'll do another evaluation. You have one more ahead of you, and I know you're not going to slack up one bit. So now, do we have any other motions related to the superintendent's evaluation? Mr. Hartswanger.
Mr. Gant, it is with much regret that I move that we accept Dr. Hefner's resignation from his employment with the district for the purposes of retirement, effective June 30th, 2018.
All right, we have a motion. Have a second. Ms. Hammond seconds. Any discussion? Honestly, didn't know if we'd get a second on that, Dr. Hefner, but we did. And reluctantly, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner. That brings us to item number 15, which is our second and final reading of board policy on distance, online, and virtual education shown in Exhibit D. Do I have a motion? Ms. Hutchison.
I move that we give second and final reading approval of proposed revisions to Board Policy IJNDAA, Distance, Online, and Virtual Education, as shown in Exhibit D.
Have a second? Ms. Hammond seconds. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 16, which is the second and final reading on the board policies on social studies education shown in Exhibit E. Do I have a motion? Mr. Halterwanger.
Mr. Gant, I move that we approve the second and final reading proposed revisions to policy IHAC, Social Studies Education, located in Exhibit E.
Have a second. Ms. Hutchison seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Brings us to item number 17, which is our second and final reading of the board policy dealing with promotion and retention of students shown in Exhibit F. Do I have a motion? Ms. Hutchison.
I move that we give second and final reading approval of proposed revisions to Board Policy IKE, Promotion and Retention of Students, as shown in Exhibit F.
Do we have a second. Ms. Baumgartner seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Brings us to item 18, which is our second and final reading approval of the revisions to board policy on summer school shown in Exhibit G. Ms. Hammond.
I move that we give second and final reading approval of proposed revisions to Board Policy IHCA Summer School Exhibit G.
We have a second. Mr. Cates, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 19, which is our first reading approval and proposed revisions to Board Policy IKA-R Grading Assessment System shown in Exhibit H. We have a motion. Ms. Baumgartner.
I move that we give first reading approval of proposed revisions to Board Policy IKA-R Grading Assessment Systems as shown in Exhibit H.
We have a second. Ms. Hammond seconds. Any discussion on this policy? Seeing none, all those in favor of first reading approval, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 20, which is a discussion agenda